Okay. So I know that there was like kind of a laundry list of different things that you wanted to try to do. So let's go at it. So what's on your mind? What can we do?
I'm not sure. I see you guys do a lot of stuff around the kit off the snare. And I'm sure it's based on your technique with your... It's like how guys can double stroke and then, but then do it in a tempo. I mean, even when I try to just go from that to the tom, it sounds retarded.
Okay.
Unless I'm being too hard on myself. But it just doesn't sound even and smooth. Things of that nature.
Okay.
And I've tried to pay attention to how you apply paradiddles, whatever, around the kit, things like that. And then once I try to transpose that, it just sounds like... just doesn't sound to me like I'm getting it. Something... It seems like something's blocking me mentally of what I'm not getting or hearing or trying to accomplish.
Okay, to me that is kind of it has to do with rudiments for sure, but it's about developing your vocabulary as a drummer. So some of it's rudiment based, but then it's taking those rudiments and actually applying your knowledge of them to your hands in an effective way where it sounds good. So really the best way to start accomplishing that goal, and it's not something that'll take like a lesson. Like we can use a lesson to give you the tools that you need so you can practice it at home and get better at it. But I can set you up with a bunch of exercises today that'll help you with that. You may find the exercises kind of tedious, but they're like really the most efficient way to accomplish that goal. For instance. What I like to teach a lot of my students are 2 grid patterns. One of them is based off of 16th notes, and the other one's based off of triplets. And what we do with these grid patterns is we start out by putting accents on different parts of the beat, so we can get used to playing on different parts of the beat, but it also works on a technique or a rudiment along the way. But after we learn the accents, then there are other rudiments we can plug into that same exercise for just drilling purposes, so you can get used to playing these a lot of different ways. And then when you get onto a drum set, it makes it a lot easier to kind of move it around the drums because you're feeling every part of the beat a little bit better, and also your technique for playing this stuff is a little bit better. Does that sound a little bit more like what you want to get into?
Yeah, I mean, it's like how guys will just... basically, I see it in a lot of soloing type formats.
Yeah.
They just
and these exercises are perfect for it, especially like Neil Peart or 70s, 80s, 90s.
I understand what they're doing when they're doing it, but I'm like, I can understand it. I just don't know how to go from understanding it to applying it. Okay.
Well, let's start off this way. Let me teach you one of these grid patterns. You can kind of see where it goes.
Get that.
So what a grid pattern is it's sort of like we have what we call our check pattern. It's our set pattern that we're basing everything off of. So for 16th notes, this is what we're doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. Go ahead and play that on your snare drum. 1, 2, 3, 4, and stop. So what we're doing is we're basing everything off of that. That's a really simple pattern. You can play it already. That's great. So what we do is the first step is we apply accents, which are louder notes, to different parts of that beat. So the first accent pattern would be this. 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. Try doing that one. Yeah, and go ahead and turn around and face your drum set so you're playing like you would normally play. Now, the way that we can take that and improve on it is the whole point of playing accents is to be able to hear loud notes and soft notes. And you did that, but they become more meaningful when you create more contrast. So you can only play so loud before you're destroying things. So what you can do is to create more contrast is play the softer notes, softer notes. So instead of doing this, you can hear the loud notes and the soft notes, but bring the soft notes lower. Now you're creating a lot more contrast. So when you're doing stuff like this, like now you're hearing like sort of musical things happening within just all the notes that you're playing. It's not just one sound coming from the snare drum. Now you're creating different sounds. Accents really can kind of help bring out a lot of that stuff. And so we're going to get you in the
make
direction
it more
of
complicated sound than it really is, so to speak. As
yeah,
well.
absolutely. You know, if I sit here and do this, it's not really all that interesting. But if I do this, I'm not playing anything hard, but I'm creating loud notes and soft notes, creating melodies. All right, so I just showed you what the first pattern was. Getting that soft note volume softer. So go ahead and try doing that again, but softer soft notes and keep the loud notes loud. Yeah, so you're just going to barely move your hands. Good. And then the second pattern, what we're going to do is accent the left hand. The first left hand notes, you're going to go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then stop. Check it out. Good. Third pattern. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and stop. Good. And then the fourth one, it's the last one for this set, is 1, 2, 3, 4. Now remember, even though you can play all this stuff, it's not about, oh, you can play it, now you're done.
Right.
It's about giving you a system so we can apply the other rudiments to it. So now that you've learned the check pattern and you've learned the 4 accent patterns, here's how we're going to put it together. We're going to do check pattern, then accent pattern, check pattern, accent pattern, just back and forth, and just watch me play it for a second so you can kind of digest it a little bit. And then what's great about this is you don't have to read it on a page. It's something you can hopefully memorize and take with you. 1, 2, 3, 4, then first accents. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, E and up, 2, E and up, 3, E and up, 4, E and up. Now while you're doing this, the other thing to focus on, and this is what separates someone who's a pretty good drummer from someone who sounds really great, is you want to make sure all those accents sound consistent.
Right.
Like when you play an accent, you want it to always be the same and be what you expect it to be. No inconsistencies, really.
Right.
And then with the soft notes, same deal. You want all the soft notes to sound good. Now, you can play all the loud notes the same, but if your soft notes are fluctuating in volume and stuff, it's not going to sound very clean or neat.
Oh, terrible.
So go ahead and try doing what I just did. Did it all make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean,
So check pattern.
I've done I know what you're talking about as far as all that.
Okay, so do the check patterns, alternating with the different accents that I showed you. 3, 4. Try to get the soft notes softer. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and up, 2 E and up, 3 E and up, 4 E and up. Good. All right, so that's the basis for what we're doing here. So, where you can take that now is you can play faster. You can continually work on the consistency of your sound qualities, the loud ones and the soft ones. And it's not just like what it sounds like, but how it feels, how it looks. For instance, like I can play a loud note like this, or I can play it like this, and I just played with 2 different strokes.
Right.
So you want to be consistent with your strokes as well. So when you're moving around and you're thinking about a bunch of other things, you want to be like a machine with your technique. So you're not worried about all that stuff. You're not worried about how it sounds.
Second hand.
Like if I'm playing this with my right hand, I don't want it to sound any different just because I switched the beat or switched the hand. You want it to be consistent. And I'm a firm believer if you can make things consistent, then you can make it different on purpose and really be in charge of it or aware of it. Okay, so next step for those accents is we're going to take those accents out. And in place of those accents, we're going to put in there something I call diddles. So instead of going like this, we're going to put a diddle in there. And diddles are just doubled up notes. But you're not going to accent them. So you're going to do this. And at its core, this is the core part of starting to get into drum rolls and stuff and making them sound good, is isolating these diddles so that they sound good. Okay. So the first diddle pattern will be this. making everything sound the same. Okay, now do it again and look at your right hand while you play it.
Okay.
And I want to see if you notice something that I'm noticing. Is there anything you notice about what your right hand's doing with the diddles? Your first note of the diddle is louder than the second note. So what you want to try to do, and this is just always going to be something you're going to fight with, but then you'll get good at it, is you want that second note to be just as strong as the first note. Yeah, stroke it all out.
Hence, I guess the.
Gotta stroke it out.
You mean cut it loose?
It's a combination of rebound and your wrist moving with it. Like when you do this, where the first note's loud and the second one's softer, usually why that's happening is you're stroking for the first one, and then you're relying only on the bounce for the second one. So now you have a loud soft instead of a too loud note thing. Now, we're not playing accents, but the idea is double strokes that are even, because you don't just play double strokes just to create a roll sound. But you can do it for rhythmic possibilities, like. So I'm not just doing rolls, I'm creating different rhythms, so instead of having to single everything out. Now I can simplify my life a little bit. Instead of having to stroke it all out, I can utilize those doubles as a rhythm instead of just creating a roll sound. So that's what we're trying to work on.
Like that.
However you want to apply it, but it starts with really one drum and getting really consistent with the sound of that double. If you look at my hand, you see I'm stroking it all out. I'm not really rigid. I'm not rigid about it.
Hold it. You're using more wrist, in other words?
Using a lot more wrist. I'm putting a lot of energy into it. Okay, now try.
You're talking about making it more. Okay.
Yeah, and that's something that'll take some time, and don't beat yourself up about it.
No,
just start thinking that way.
I just sit in front of the TV and just do paradiddles, double paradiddles, and just singles. You know, and I do that exercise with the changing the four. But my left hand is, I don't know about yours, but just always feels retarded. I guess it's just going to take a lot of time.
It takes time, but these exercises I'm showing you.
I can feel it getting better. I can feel my singles getting stronger.
These exercises I'm showing you, they're ambidextrous exercises, so that means it forces your weaker hand to be strong like your stronger hand. So we just did the right-handed one, so the left hand would be this. And we're specifically doing it slow like this so we can focus on what it feels like to play it right. So try doing that one. That sounded a lot better than when you did your right-hand one. Do that again.
Well, I know what you wanted. I was bound.
Yeah, now you're thinking about it.
It's not easy off this now either, but more mechanical, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now the third one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try doing that. Okay, next one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try again. 2, 3, 4, and stop. You gotta finish it all out. 1. Hold on. It's on the fourth note. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and stop. There you go.
Why I was cutting short.
Okay, so let's play it together. We're going to do the check pattern and all the diddle patterns back and forth like we did with the accents, but we'll do it together this time, okay? 1, 2, ready, and go. And 1, That's it. So the trick is, this is the thing I want to make sure happens today, is these things that I'm teaching you, I want to make sure that you're able to remember them later so that you can practice them. Because if you practice them the way that I'm talking about it and everything that I'm saying is important, obviously it depends how much you're practicing, but over whatever period of time of you being diligent and practicing it a certain way, you'll get really good at it really quick and it'll start coming to you. So when you start applying it to the drum set, it'll be a lot less frustrating and you'll feel like you have things you can do.
Yeah, I just get there and I just pretty much I mean, I can do some things that sound cool, and what I do is just rhythms and then try to come up with whatever fill, but I don't come up with a fill based on books. I come up with a fill just coming up with whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll feel something that I hear I think I want to do, and then I'll sit and try and figure out how to actually make that fill work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I get lost and irritated. It's like, dang.
All right, let's take this another step. So what we did is...
I can't write this down, right, before I go?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
cool.
We're going to do 5-stroke rolls within the same pattern. So the first pattern with using 5-stroke rolls would be this.
Isn't that like a 6?
Well, I'm playing 6 notes, but here's where the 5-stroke roll is.
Right.
So I'm putting that in our check pattern that we're talking about. Okay. So. So play 4 of those. Yeah, and remember, even though we're playing more notes, you still want to think about consistency, sound quality, stroking everything out. Good.
When I come off the practice pad and go to it's a different bounce, and then it's like I can't.
It is.
And it sounded like when I go to the snare, it just kind of, when I do doubles, they'll sound good on the practice, but on the practice pad, when I get to the snare, it sounds like they just are one noise.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Let me check on somebody real quick.
Sure.
He's in the lobby there. Go ahead and practice the diddle one for a second. I'll be right back. Okay, so the second 5-stroke roll is this. So it's in the middle notes.
Alternating?
And then in there. Yeah. Okay, the third one is this.
Do that again?
Yeah. 2, 3, 4, and try that again. So you need to be careful how you think of this stuff. Here's how I think of it. I think of it like building blocks. Like, here's my pattern. So that's one block. And we know we have to do 4 of those to complete the measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then stop.
Was that bit? That's the same hand, but that's right.
Right, left, right, right, left, left, right, left,
Same
right, right,
thing
left,
every
left.
time, right?
Yeah, it's the same thing every time.
Okay,
Awesome. Okay, and then the last one
I think too hard about stuff is what it is.
Yeah, just chill.
I can't. That's why I have an ulcer.
So
I'm working on it. I'm going to get so irritated to the point where I just go, okay, I don't care anymore. Let's just have fun.
So here's the fourth pattern. I'm just going to show you the 4 notes, okay? And you just got to get it in your head. And so it's this. So you're putting a diddle at the front and a diddle at the back. Try doing that much. Okay, now do it 2 times. Okay, try doing it 4 times now.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
With it a little bit. It's starts with
the diddle, ends with the diddle.
That's right.
2, 3, 4, and stop. That's it.
It's easier when I count.
So if you want a visual example, let's pretend like my fingers represent each note that we're playing. So we got 4 notes, right? Right, left, right, left. So for the 5-stroke roll, diddles go here, because it starts on the first note. And then for the second pattern, you just move it over.
Inverting it.
Okay. And then the third pattern, you just move it over again. Starts on the third one.
1, 2, da, 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 1.
And then for the fourth one, it starts on the 4th note, but that means this has nowhere to go unless we put it back on the first
so
one.
It's the same as. It'd be the same as.
Yeah. So what you're doing is you're taking this pattern and you're putting it over every variation on these 4 notes. Okay.
Okay. Oh, I got you. As far as the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Moving.
So let's try playing this together with all the check patterns. I'll play it with you, so just follow me if you get a little bit lost, okay? 1, 2, ready, and go. And 1, 2, we're doing the check pattern 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright. Okay.
That's your last one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's do it again. That's all that stuff. Just one more time. 1, 2, ready, and go. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, We'll come back and review all this stuff before you go. All right. So the last rudiment we're going to worry about for now are going to be flams. These are all just flams in there. So we're going to put flams in here. So let's talk about flams for a second. There are 3 basic ways to interpret flams, and in my opinion, only one of them is correct. So I say that because some people may disagree with me, but I don't care. I've been doing this a long time, and there's a reason why I believe what I believe. So you can play your flams really open, like that, but I'm not a fan of that because it doesn't sound like a flam to me. It sounds like a rhythm, but that's not a flam to me.
Sounds like 2 notes.
Yeah, it just sounds like 2 notes. You can play them really flat sounding, but I don't hear anything that's different than an accent.
Which is how I do them so far for the most part.
So the flams, you don't want them open, really open, and you don't want them really tight either. You want them somewhere in between, where a flam is supposed to be what we call an articulation. That refers to a type of sound. It's not supposed to change the rhythm. It's supposed to change the sound of what you're doing. So this is too open. This is too tight. Just right for me is about here.
Right.
So now it sounds like
Snap
two
right
notes,
after
but
another.
it's not a rhythm.
Right.
Okay. So the way to think of it.
That's how I like to expect to hear them, or how I work to get to hearing them.
So the way I like to explain it to people without getting really technical is, so if you're doing a right-handed flam, that just means your right hand's high, your left hand's low, and then you try to hit it together. But because there's a distance difference, it won't. So I'm not thinking one hand before the other. I'm just thinking one high, one low. And it just kind of happens. Okay? So to do the first pattern, you're going to go like this. And you're going to think of that flam like an accent, where it's louder. Try doing that one.
All right hand?
Yeah, right hand ones. Right, left, right, left, 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 right. Okay. So now doing it left-handed, you got 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and stop. Good. Third one. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and stop.
You're starting everything every time with your right hand, right?
Yes. And just a reminder is, if we're playing loud notes, then we want to play the soft notes softer, so there's more contrast. That's better. Now, when you play, when you're analyzing yourself playing, I'm not advocating looking at yourself all the time when you play, but when you're practicing something and you're trying to get really, when you're trying to scrutinize yourself, look at your hands, look at what you're doing, because you can oftentimes visually see what you need to change to get to where you want to be. But if you're like, looking straight ahead or somewhere else, even if it's a sheet of music or something and you're not watching your own playing, it's hard to tell sometimes just by the sound what you need to do.
You mean things like your stick going off this way, or
Yeah.
just
Like what you just did, like you were looking at the wall and it sounded better, but your left hand was still a lot higher than your right hand when it came to the softer notes. But if you were looking at your own hands, you probably would have been able to see that without me telling you.
okay.
So try that one more time. Look at your hands while you do it. Bring that accent up more. Yeah, that's a lot better. Okay, so let's do the fourth one now. So the fourth one would be 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and stop. And for the end of that, I do like doing two flams. Flam, flam.
Okay.
There you go.
Opposite flams?
Mm-hmm. Left flam, right flam. Mm-hmm. All right, great. So let's play this whole exercise together with all the check patterns and stuff. I'll play it with you. 1, 2, ready, and go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and flam. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, good. All right, cool. So we just did accents, we did diddles, we did 5-stroke rolls, and we did flams. And that's based off 16th note pattern that we came up with.
Okay.
So now we're going to take those rudiments, all that stuff, and we're going to apply it to a triplet pattern. So the check pattern for the triplet one is going to be this. Triplet, 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 stop. So just 4 beats of triplets. Go ahead and try doing that. Triplet, 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 stop. Now do it without the accents. Just try it, play them all. Triplet, 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 stop. Right, great. Now we're going to put accents in there. The first one goes like this. Triplet, 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 stop. Good. All right, the second one. The accent's going to be on the pull part of the triplet.
Right.
Triplet, trip.